Welcome to Soul Seeker. I'm Sam Kabert, and I'll be your guide on this journey. I started the show back in 2019, chasing answers like many of us do. But what I've come to understand is this: it's not the seeking that fulfills us. It's what we find in the quiet stillness beneath the search. When we stop chasing and learn to be with what is, we access a deeper wisdom. One that leads not to more doing, but to ease, grace, joy, and true fulfillment. My mission with this podcast is to help high performers just like yourself to regulate your nervous system, reprogram subconscious patterns, and embody emotional freedom so you can lead with clarity, resilience, and alignment. Welcome to Soul Seeker. Let's grow. What up, fam, and welcome back to another episode of the Soul Seeker podcast. I am your host, as always, Sam Kabert, and in this episode, we're going to be talking about how important your morning routines are. You know, I heard something a long time ago, probably like 15 years ago, and it was something around to the effect of how you go to sleep, whatever your evening routine is, it dictates how your morning's going to go. And how your morning routine goes dictates how your day's going to go. And I love thinking about this, like evening routines and morning routines, because you guys know me. I'm all into the yin yang and or yang, and I'm into the infinity and cycles. And when I think about how your evening routine sets up your morning routine, it makes me think about intentionality, you know, because so often we distract, we numb, we avoid ourselves from feeling, and that can look like binge Netflix, binge eating, or even sex. Sex is a big one that people don't realize, but you're outsourcing your need to feel, not even need, your desire to feel something for yourself, because instead you just focus on that release with someone else. So the point is, when we look at our evening routines, I think it's really a good time, as this episode comes out that's titled Rebuilding Your Life. What does your evening routine look like? Is it serving you? Is it intentional? Or are you numbing, distracting, and avoiding? Now, I know you're tuning into this podcast because you want to be the best version of yourself. It's not so much about chasing the next healing modality, but it's just feeling fulfilled and being able to access peace at any given moment, right? So if that's the case, and it is the case, then just maybe now's the time to evaluate that evening routine and cut out those things that don't serve you. And then the morning routine, that's what this episode's all about. My guest in this episode is Jarvis Leverson, and he's got a fantastic story. You know, the guy crushed on all accounts. He lived his dream life. And then what happened next? It all imploded, and he found himself living with his mom at 35 years old, homeless. You're going to hear directly from Jarvis in this episode and why he prioritizes his mornings before everything else. You know, I'll say, you guys, I've been prioritizing my mornings for probably about the same, I'd say at least 15 years. Trying to think my age, maybe 12 or 13 years. I'm not sure, but my morning routine has always been sacred. And for a long time, I'd be like, I'm not taking meetings before 11 a.m. And even now, still, I try not to take any meetings unless I have to before 11. And not, you know, I think what's most important is what Jarvis spoke on in this podcast, talking about the sweet spot. The sweet spot being the power hour. And it's having that hour before your obligations, your responsibilities, and life is being thrown your way. So if there's one thing that you get from this podcast, let it be that. Let it be for you to find and define your own sweet spot and create your own power hour for your morning routine. With that, enjoy this episode with Jarvis Leverson. What is up, and welcome back to another episode of the Soul Seeker podcast. Today I'm sitting here with Jarvis Leverson. I'm stoked to dive in with you, Jarvis, but before we do, as we always do on the Soul Seeker show, we're going to just dive in with just a few simple breaths. So Jarvis, for you, for me, and for all of you listening, always breathe with us. Just be mindful of what you're doing. So if you can't close your eyes, don't close your eyes, but you can still breathe. So Jarvis, for myself and for you and for those of you listening that can, I invite you to close down your eyes, just finding a simple seat, feeling your feet on the floor, and slowly through your nose, inhaling all the way up, sipping in a bit more air at the top, and a big sigh, let it go. Another inhale up, letting the belly and the back body expand as you bring that breath all the way up. Sipping in a bit more air at the top, just pausing and holding the breath here. And a big sigh, let it go. We'll do one more like that. Slow inhale all the way up. Sipping in a bit more air at the top. And sighing it out. Letting the breath return to your natural state and rhythm. Just flickering the eyes open. And here we are. Jarvis, my dude, our homie, our mutual friend, David Gilbert, connected us, one of my good friends. So shout out to you, David. And Jarvis, let's get straight into it, because you and I chatted before this and I was like, oh, damn, our stories are really parallel. There's a lot of similarities. And I researched you a little bit more, but I'd love to hear it straight from your mouth. Tell us about your successes, what it felt like when you achieved success, how there had to be something more. Like, paint that picture for us.
Yeah, first of all, thank you for the way you start the podcast. First time I've been on a podcast where we started with that level of intention, and so I believe intentionality is one of the strongest words in the English language. In fact, it's a big part of what I stand for, and a big part of I have a book coming out later this year where I talk about the winning formula. And the wins is an acronym, WIN. And the I in that acronym stands for intention. Be more intentional. Set your intentions. And so I love how you set the intention by starting us off here. So first, I want to just acknowledge you for that. So you asked kind of like where, take you back and what I call it the birth of the hero. So they call me the morning hero, and I kind of share a little bit about what that means. But I started my career in as a pretty successful sales rep. I was a software sales. Prior to that, I was a computer engineer. Right after school, I went to school for computer engineering, and right after I graduated, I recognized that I didn't want to be a hardcore engineer. I didn't want to be stuck in a lab for 8 to 10 hours a day coding. And so I went into the business side, and I went into sales. And so with my technical degree, I formed well into like a role where I did software and hardware sales, and I was really good at it. And so for 15 years, that's what I did. And I was President's Club. I was making good money, and life was good. And so at that time, I moved to San Diego. I met a girl. We moved in together. And so she was doing pretty well. I was doing pretty well. And so we had this penthouse overlooking the beach and overlooking the ocean in downtown San Diego. And we had, I was driving a Mercedes-Benz. We're throwing fancy dinner parties every weekend. We were kind of like these socialites. And life was good. Life was really good on the outside. But for some reason on the inside, I just started to unravel. It just didn't, have this unsettledness where I just didn't feel fulfilled. Like, it's funny, you kind of spend your whole life like with this ideal of what you want, and then so there I was, and I had the things I wanted. I had a Mercedes, and downstairs we had a penthouse downtown with an ocean view, and for some reason I didn't feel fulfilled. And for me, then what I started to do was trying to chase fulfillment, trying to figure out, okay, I started going out and hanging out with friends and drinking and partying, and it's like just trying to chase this kind of this fleeting sense of happiness. And that's where my life started to unravel. And so I went from this being this high performing, high producing professional to now, going out drinking every night. I'm showing not producing at work. I'm hungover. I'm not showing up in my relationship. And like within 1 year, I went from being on top of the world all the way to one day my boss called me in and they said, you're not the best fit for our team anymore. And then that same week, my girlfriend, me and I had a talk, and she said, you're not the best fit for my life anymore. Mm-hmm. And that day I packed up a duffel bag and I went out on the street. And I was on the streets of San Diego walking around, knocking on my friends' doors, asking if I could sleep on their couch for the night. And so I went from having it all to literally on the streets asking could I sleep on the couch or sleep on the floor. And I did that for 3 months until I wore out my welcome at all my friends' houses, and then eventually I had to move back in with my mom in Chicago. And so I had to, at 35 years old, I had to do a complete life reset. And that was kind of a wake-up call, because it was like, not only that, so there I was on my, kind of semi-homeless on my mom's couch. And at that moment, I got a notification. So one day I'm on my couch, and I get a notification on LinkedIn that says, go check out your friend's new job profile or your new job description. And when I looked at the name, it was my old lab partner from when I was a computer engineer, when I was in engineering school. And so the way school worked was you always had a partner with you in your classes. So you did everything together. You did the homeworks together. You did the quizzes together, the all the assignments. And so you kind of like go through the courses and go through the curriculum. You get all the same grades. And so this was my partner in school. And so we both graduated with the same grades. We both went and worked for tech companies coming out of school. We were both on the exact same trajectory. And so this was 15 years later. I hadn't seen him since we graduated. And I'm being prompted to go check out his new LinkedIn profile. Mm-hmm. And so I click on it, and I see that he's now the chief technology officer of this boutique software firm. And then I go to his Instagram page and I start scrolling and I start looking, and he's got this beautiful family, and they've got this big house, and they own a lake house, and they've got a boat, and they're going on lavish vacations. And he's not only that, he was sat on boards of nonprofits, and he was a big contributor to the community. And here I was looking at this guy that we were on the exact same trajectory, and he's living his best and highest and fullest life. He's living life at his highest capacity. And there I was, semi-homeless on my mom's couch. And it just showed me my lost potential. It was like the Lord was showing me a mirror. It's like, Jarvis, this is what I had in store for you. I gave you all the same gifts, all the same talents, all the same resources, all the same access. I equipped you with everything, if not more, than him. And look at what you're doing with it. You're wasting the gifts I gave you. And it was a wake-up call. And it was like, the Lord was like, how dare you? How dare you waste what I gave you? Get your ass off that couch and get out there and make the most of it. And that for me was like, all right, I was built better than this. I was built for more than this, than to just sink and settle into far less than what I was designed for. And so it was like that was my call for greatness. I was being called to step up, start living in my highest power. And the next day I'm like, all right, I'm getting up at 5 o'clock tomorrow. Like at that point I had no job, I had no money, I had nothing going for me. So I had no reason to wake up early. But there was this book on the counter. It was called The Miracle Morning. I saw it sitting in the corner. And so I just thumbed through a few pages, and it was talking about get up early, have a morning routine, and all this woo-woo stuff. And I'm like, okay, well, look, I got nothing else going for me. Well, I'm getting up at 5 o'clock tomorrow. I'm getting up at 5 a.m. and I'm going to go do a workout, and I'm going to start planning and mapping out my what the next phase of my life, what Jarvis 2.0 is going to look like. And that next day, I woke up at 4:57 a.m., 3 minutes before the alarm, and I stood up and I was excited. Like, I didn't have to drag myself out. I literally was excited. And it was the first time in my life I experienced true peace. There was no, there was no text messages, there were no notifications, no dings, no alarms, no kids crying, no dogs barking, no news breaking. It was true peace. And like the birds weren't even up yet. I was up before the birds. And it was the first time I experienced true silence. I was able to close my eyes and I prayed. I prayed and I meditated. And I got some inspiration, some divine wisdom. And I opened my journal and I started writing down what was given to me. And it turned out to be a business plan. And then I came up with some actions and I knocked off the first 3 things on that list. And then I went for a run and did some exercise. And I got back and then I looked at the clock and it was 7:02 a.m. And it felt like I had the most productive day that I had had in years. And most people still weren't even up yet. And that was like the first day of the rest of my the starting point of the rest of my life was that morning. And I was like, this is what I've been missing. This is what I've truly been chasing. I've been chasing this. And before I was searching in all the wrong places. What I needed was this, to be able to wake up and to have time, space, and margin to spend with myself, get in tune. And that, I said, every morning, it feels like I'm a hero. Every time I wake up into the silence of the morning and I have that sanctuary, I turn into a hero. It's like Superman goes into his phone booth and he emerges a super powerful superhero. Prior to going into the silence, prior to going into isolation, he was a nerdy, weak news reporter. And then he secludes himself. And then he emerges a superhero. And for me, that's what the morning was. The morning was like my phone booth. And I would emerge a hero. And so that's how, every morning I turned into a hero. And then that turned into, people started calling me the morning hero.
The funny thing about Clark Kent is he's actually the only superhero, I believe, that is naturally the hero, and his disguise is to fit in with everyone else. It's the reverse.
Yeah, he's the reverse, right? He's like, like Incredible Hulk.
So this is all amazing. So really what we're talking about here is rebuilding your life. And the main tool I'm hearing from you to rebuild your life was to prioritize your mornings, to get up early and have a really solid routine. And I'm the same way. Like, I don't get up early. That's not my thing, but I don't take calls before 11 a.m. That's my time. You know what I mean? So however long it's going to take. Sometimes it's just a half hour, an hour. Other times it's going to be a few hours, to really dial in, whether it's work, it's personal stuff, meditation, breath work, spiritual, whatever it is. What I'm curious on, I understand the vehicle is waking up early and dialing in your you time, but what did it actually look like to rebuild your life from the ground up?
Yeah, so that the morning, and so you're absolutely right. It's really just like you said, it's having that you time, having that margin. Whereas before, like as a professional, and I believe a lot of high achiever or high work professionals can identify with just waking up right into the madness. And so you wake up into your email, your inbox, or your kids or your family. And so you wake up into chaos, and then from there you're just kind of reacting. You never have any time, space, or opportunity to be proactive. And so for me, the morning just gave me that margin to be proactive instead of reactive. And so what that margin did was it allowed me, one, time to seek clarity. So that silence allowed me to tap in and tune in, right? So I believe the answers you're looking for are all around you. Right, it's just you being able to tune into the frequency to receive them. And so I never had space. My life was so noisy. I woke up into noise every morning because by the time I would wake up, the world was already spinning. So I just woke up right into the noise. And so for me, by waking up into the darkness, it allowed the stillness so that I can tune in and hear the guidance from the universe, the wisdom that's always been there. But I was never able to hear it. And so that's what it allowed me to. And from there, having that being able to get clarity every day, I would get big ideas. I would get inspirations. That's where my business ideas come from. And then I went and from there I went into real estate, and I moved back to San Diego, and I built a real estate practice here in San Diego. That's how I got married to my wife. Every morning I would get clarity and guidance, and I would ask for wisdom, and then from there I started seeing visions of what my perfect life looked like. And that woman who we were together but we broke up, she was a part of that vision that I would get in the morning. Mm-hmm. And then that inspired me to go and ask her to marry me. Like we weren't even dating again. Like we still were broken up. I was living in Chicago. I flew to San Diego to ask her to marry me while we were still broken up. We were not dating. I got that clarity in the morning. I would not have gotten that without them. So for me, morning is just time. It gave me margin. Now, everyone doesn't need, maybe their life is set up differently where they get that time and margin in other places. For me, it just made more sense that I needed to be pitch black outside and quiet, because the noise of the day drowns out that clarity. And that's what it was for me. And so I would get that every morning. And so from there, I built the Morning Hero. And then I started getting asked to be able to go and share with people what I was doing to be so successful in my real estate practice, and where I got my lust and fire. And that's when I first started sharing this. And then people started coming up and telling me how it changed their lives. And then that's where I came up with my purpose, which is now to spread the gospel to the world, and turn the world into morning heroes.
That's awesome. Yeah. So it sounds like what I'm hearing is real estate was the path for you, because I mean, a lot of it kind of rests on our finances, right? Like if you don't have a place to live, if you don't have a career, and you're still kind of floating in your mom's house or whatever, you fly to San Diego from Chicago and you propose to your ex, she's gonna be like, you didn't change anything, right? So it sounds like the shifts was getting into real estate, because before that you were in sales, a tech company, right? You said software, was it development?
Correct. I was software sales, then I went into real estate, and I was selling commercial property in downtown San Diego. And my boss my broker in our office at the time, and he says, so I would get into the office at 7, because at that point, I was waking up at like 4:30 in the morning. I'd do my thing and I'd get to the office at like 7, and I would bang out everything. I would I would do all my prospecting, I would do my marketing, I would do all my follow-ups, my pipeline management. By the time the next person walked into the office at 9 a.m., I was almost done with my day. And so he saw how quickly I was rising, and he said, can you show people what you're doing? Like, you're guns blazing every day. We're going to do a lunch and learn. You mind just kind of walking people through what you're doing to go so fast?
Hey, it's Sam. Can I share something real quick that I think might actually help you? If you've ever felt overwhelmed by your emotions, like you're doing all the right things, yet you still feel off, it's not because you're broken. Most of us were never taught how to feel in a way that actually helps us heal. That's why I created Breath Club, a free community where I guide weekly breathwork sessions to help you regulate your nervous system, process emotions, and return to clarity. We use something called the 90-second reset, a simple, science-backed practice that shows how fast emotions shift when you allow yourself to feel them fully. You'll get access to live calls, a community, and on-demand breathwork exercises to reset anytime. No pressure, just an invitation to feel safe in your body again. Links in the show notes if you want to join us.
And that was the first time I hosted a workshop where I shared people how I blaze so fast because of my mornings. And then in that workshop, there were about, let's say, 10 of the reps showed up to it. Mm-hmm. Out of those 10 reps, 5 of them made it to the Wall of Fame that year. In our office, they have a plaque, and every year they put the like the highest producers, they put them on a plaque and they put it on the wall, and they call it the Wall of Fame. And so that year, 5 of those reps made it onto the Wall of Fame, and they said they credited me with it. They said, Jarvis, is because of what you've been showing us. It's because, and we started getting on a call. I started hosting a call every day at 5 in the morning, and for whoever wanted to join, and we just get on a call and we kind of talk over our goals for the day. And so 5 of them, people that was on that call, made it to the Wall of Fame. They said, oh, it's all because of what you've been doing with us. And that was the first time I was like, well, maybe this is bigger than just me. Maybe this is something that I could share with the world. And then I turned it into a coaching practice. And so from real estate, I opened up the Morning Hero, which is now a coaching program. It's not coaching, it's like a life transformation. So we have a combination of courses, and I do keynote speaking and online community. And we still have those morning accountability groups where people can go and call in and then do daily goal setting first thing in the morning to help them hold them accountable to their morning practice. And so from real estate, I would say 5 years ago, I went all into how do I help people transform their lives by introducing them to the morning. And so that then now has become the vehicle of success for me.
Right. Awesome. Cool. Amazing. Now, what are some of the most common objections you get from people? Because I mean, you tell someone to wake up early, they're not happy about it a lot of times. So what are some of the common objections?
Yeah. So the most common are, I'm just not a morning person. Quite frankly, it's like most people have their identity. They root their identity, like they have this rooted in their identity that I am a night owl. It's in my circadian rhythm. I'm just not a morning person. I'm a wildebeest before my first cup of coffee. And so, I mean, my first and foremost, there is no one size fits all. I asked them one simple question: is it working for you? Is it working for you right now? And if it's working for you, then you have no reason to change it. I'm not here to say that you have to do things one way or you have to do things another way. No. You do what works for you. And so if your lifestyle is working for you, then don't change it at all. But if it's not working for you, then you'd be a fool to keep doing the same thing and expect a different result. And so I would challenge people that if it's not working for you, then explore it. Because I used to also root my identity in being a night owl. I was in engineering school. They call them hackathons. Like as a computer engineer, you would stay up all night long doing homeworks and doing coding assignments. And that's just what we did. Like the engineering library stay open 24 hours a day. And so we would be in there from 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. That was our natural rhythm. And that's what we just did. Like we were the night owls. We wore it like a badge of honor. And so I went through most of my life as a night owl, and I felt like I got my most productive work done, and I'm my most creative late at night, and that's just who I am. And you know what? It worked for me.
It was also, let's just pause there. Potentially that was programmed into you, right? Potentially that's what they're doing is eliminating distractions, because to your point of waking up early to eliminate distractions. If you eliminate all the other distractions that you normally have in the day and tell someone, hey, focus on your computer from 10 p.m. to 4 p.m. or 4 a.m., excuse me, then obviously you're going to get the most creative work. So it starts to become our identity. So to your point, we can change our identity and these beliefs at any time, whether it's that's your creativity hour, the night hour, or the night owl, or waking up early. I'm just not a morning person. So I think that's really important to highlight there.
Yeah, 100%. And so that worked for me for a while, for a big part of my life, until it didn't. And the moment it didn't, I had to flip the script and I had to redefine who I was. And you know, the book that I shared earlier, the Miracle Morning, that when I went that night where I had kind of like that gut punch moment of like, you're not living up to the potential I put in you. And I saw that book on the counter and I flipped through the first couple of pages, the introduction. And in there, he talks about this. He says, you know, a lot of people root themselves in this identity that they're not a morning person. And he's like, the reason you're not a morning person is because you keep telling yourself you're not a morning person.
Right.
Like the moment you tell yourself something different, you open up a new reality for yourself. And so he talks about all your subconscious is doing is it's obedient to the words you tell it. And so you're not a morning person because you reinforce that idea. You are telling yourself that. It's like, try this. Tell yourself, tomorrow I'm getting up at 5 and I'm excited about it. Tell yourself, you know what? I am a morning person, whether you believe it or not. And you say, you'd be surprised at how obedient your subconscious is to the words you tell it. Mm-hmm. And that was the day I woke up. That next day I woke up at 4:57 a.m. before my 5 a.m. alarm. In one day, I shifted from a night owl to a morning person because of understanding the power of the subconscious and how powerful your words are and how you affirm who you are. And so if you want to be something different and you want a new reality, it starts with your words. And so that's what I would say. I'm not telling people that this whole morning person versus doesn't exist. Sure, it's just a matter of what's working for you. And if something is not working for you, one, be open to trying something different, and then two, talk to yourself differently. Mm-hmm. Tell yourself something different, and you'll be surprised at what will come out.
Yeah, you're totally right. You know, I find that happen a lot for me where I wake up a few minutes before my alarm. And it's such a good example of displaying that the subconscious is the goal getter and the conscious mind is the goal setter. So what happens is we create, this is to your point of intentions, right? We put the intention out there. That's the goal. Conscious mind is clear on it. Then it's the unconscious or the subconscious job to make it happen at that point. And that's where we need to release control. And that's how these things manifest into our reality. So this is awesome. Let's talk about some of the habits and behaviors. Like you mentioned some of it before, and you also mentioned that you have your 5 a.m. call. So would you say like 4 a.m. is the sweet spot for most people, or is that your sweet spot? And then what's actually happening in these from when you wake up to the call and then from there?
Yeah, so thank you for asking. Like, there is no sweet spot, right? Again, this goes back to what works for you. For me in my life, I say the sweet spot is you need 1 hour before your whirlwind. So the whirlwind is the moment your life starts spinning. So if you wake up right now and you go right into dealing with the kids, that's your whirlwind. The whirlwind is like everything that's pulling and clawing for your attention all day long, whether it's family, it's work, it's clients. It's like your day is a spinning tornado of chaos. And so you need at least a 1 hour buffer before your whirlwind kicks off. My kids wake up around 5:30 in the morning.
Wow.
That's my whirlwind.
Yeah.
Like if I wake up to my son jumping up and down in the bed, I'm no good. Mm-hmm. I'm no good to them as a father. I'm snappy. I'm irritable. I have low patience. I'm not clear-headed going into work. Like, if I wake up into chaos, I am not giving my best to anyone, to my business, to my team, to my clients, to my kids. No one gets the best of me. I owe it to them to give myself that buffer. And so I say 1 hour before your first obligation. That's your sweet spot. And so for me, that's 4 a.m. So I naturally right now I wake up anywhere between 3:30 and 4 in the morning every day. I don't need an alarm clock anymore. You get to a point where it just becomes your autopilot. So my eyes naturally open between 3:30 and 4 every day. So that's my sweet spot. That I wouldn't recommend that for everybody. That right, it's just relative.
Yeah.
And so I would say you just need to give yourself margin. 1 hour, I call it your power hour. 1 solid hour of undistracted alone time, without devices, without your phone, without email, without addressing the world. You need to block yourself from the external world so you can go internal. That's your power hour. Everyone needs a power hour. Now, some people, their power hour is going to start at 3:30 like mine does. Other people, their power hour could start at 6 a.m. It doesn't matter when it starts, as long as you have an hour that you get to work on yourself before you work on everyone else.
And within that hour, like, what does your routine look like?
Yeah, so it's I start off in silence, and so first of all, I'll start and get my coffee, and so I'm an espresso guy, so I'll make a little espresso, and I'll do I'll take a sip of my espresso, and I'll sit and I'll close my eyes, and I have a timer on my desk, and so I'll set the timer for at least 10 minutes. And so if it's a quick one, I'm just doing 10 minutes. Sometimes I'll do longer, 15 or 20 minutes, where it's just silence. And so that is my listening practice. That you can call it meditation. I call it listening. So that's where I'll do some gratitude, do a little prayer, and then I'll shut up and I'll just listen for answers. And then I have a blank sheet of paper sitting in front of me, and I'm writing down whatever comes to me.
Cool.
So I'm kind of like clearing things out, and I'm kind of listening for guidance. And so I'll do that for 10 to 20 minutes. Then I have a journal. I have my own journal that I create. I don't have it in front of me, but where it kind of walks you through planning and setting your intentions for the day. And so I write my goals, and then I'll set in intentions for how am I showing up in my health today, how am I showing up in my wealth, and how am I showing up in my relationships. So health, wealth, and relationships are kind of like the 3 core pillars. And so I'll set intentions for what that looks like. What does a 5-star day look like? And pretty much if this was going to be a 5-star day, what would have to happen to make this a 5-star day today? And my goal is for every day to be a 5-star day, not a 1-star day or 2. Every day should be a 5-star day. And so I define what that would look like, and I'll write out, all right, these 5 things would make this a 5-star day. So I'll kind of define those intentions. And then I go to my calendar and I'll plan it all out on my calendar. I do this thing called the 0 calendar, where I go hour by hour and literally schedule from the time to the time that I actually go to sleep. Like I'll even have bedtime. I'll have Netflix and chill on there. I plan and schedule it into my calendar. And because if it's not in your calendar, it won't get done. And so that's kind of like my practice. That takes me about 30 minutes to do that whole practice that I just talked about, is me sitting in front of my journal. That takes about 30 minutes, and then I'll go for a run. And that's the other 30 minutes. And so that whole time is an hour. That's the power hour.
Got it. Nice. Sweet. So that's the power hour, and then next comes the connection call. Is that right?
So I don't host those calls anymore. I mean, now the Morning Hero is a lot bigger than just me. We have Morning Hero coaches, and so I no longer facilitate those morning calls. But we have morning calls that kick off at 5 a.m. in each time zone. And so so those calls will kick off at 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. We have calls that go 7 a.m. They go later. For, like I said, not everyone needs to be up at 5 a.m. It all is relative to your life, and so we kind of accommodate to where it fits into people's lifestyle. It's just that you just need an hour.
Yeah. So for someone listening that's curious and being like, yeah, I could use this accountability. That sounds interesting, and I want to check this out. First, what would they expect in those calls? And then second, where did they go to check it out? Join. Pause. You're holding your breath again, aren't you? You know, most high performers don't need more doing. They need a nervous system reset. I'm Sam Kabert, and I'm a keynote speaker and nervous system coach, helping people just like yourself to reset from burnout and return to clarity. I've worked with organizations and audiences ready to move beyond burnout and into embodying clarity. My keynotes blend storytelling, subconscious reprogramming, and live breathwork experiences that get people out of their heads and back into their lives. If you're planning a conference, retreat, or leadership event and want something that doesn't just inspire, but actually transforms, head to the link in the show notes. Let's make your next event unforgettable.
Yeah, so that whole process, that 30-minute process I just shared with you, that's pretty much what they do on the call. So there's a coach or facilitator really just guiding people through that process of setting their intentions for the day. And so each day you'll go through, you have some quiet time, you have like 10 minutes of silence on the call, like music playing, so like meditation music playing, and everyone is kind of doing their practice. They're writing in their journals and they're planning their day, and then they'll go around and declare to everyone in the group what a 5-star day is going to look like. So for me, here's what I'm doing. Here's what I'm committing to today. You kind of declare victory over the day. And the moment you do it out loud to a group of people, it kind of deepens your resolve that you're going to do it. And so it's just space for people to do their own practice of setting their intentions for the day. Because otherwise there's this pull to just get up and start doing stuff. And we never really have time to, we don't make space to slow down. And so that accountability call really is just your space to slow down and be intentional before you put your foot on the gas and start going.
Cool. Yeah, no, that's dope. I really like that. So the idea is do your own silent practice before that, so you can be ready for it. That's cool. I've heard some groups where they get together for, I think it's like 2 hours on Zoom, and they pretty much don't talk, and it's just like a work session. But that I haven't done it, but that's Eric Godsey's thing specifically. I think he calls it Dharma something. Anyways, cool. So this is all awesome. You have your book coming out called Every Damn Day, and you have a process that you alluded to earlier. Is it WIN, W-I-N? Was that right?
Yeah, so it's in the book. It's the winning formula to living a 5-star life. So that kind of process I just shared with you a minute ago about, every morning be intentional, design your day. What does a 5-star day look like? And so that's kind of a part of this, what I call the winning formula. And that is the word win is an acronym. And this is what I claim that my formula for success has been. And that acronym stands for, the W stands for wake up early. So step 1, wake up early, because that gives you the margin you need to do step 2, which is set your intentions. And so I kind of outlined, you set your intentions for a 5-star day. So I call it, you come up with the 5 things that's going to make this a 5-star day. So like a scoring system. So now you have a way to score your day. Like, how do you know if the day was successful? How do you know if you actually won this day or not? Unless you define what a win is, you go throughout your day and you can do a ton, 11, like 50 different things, and still at the end of the day still feel incomplete. You can still feel like you didn't do enough unless you define what is a win to you. And so I believe you should set your intentions, 5 things that would make this a win, such that if you did those 5 things, you can declare victory over this day. You officially won the day. And I think this concept of winning, I think the reason people lean on vices at the end of the night, like wine or weed or Netflix or Instagram, they veg out and escape at the end of the night, is because they don't feel like they won the day. And so it's their way of just trying to claw and find some sort of satisfaction, because they have this emptiness at the end of the day. They feel like the day drained them. And so if you don't have a clear way of of knowing that you won the day, you will always at the end of the day try to like steal victory back from the day by destruction, by self-destruction. And so I believe you should define what is a win. And so that's every day come up with these 5 things: exercise, eat right, read or do something for your growth, take one big step in your business, spread some joy, put a smile on someone's face. Like, come up with these 5 things across health, wealth, and relationships that'll make this a 5-star day for you. And then that way, at the end of the day, you have this sense of victory. And now you don't need that drink. Now you don't need that wine, because now you're really satisfied by what you did for the day. And so it all comes down to setting your intentions. And then the last one is N, which is no days off. Do it every single day. You do it for 30 straight days, 30 days from now, you won't recognize the person you are. So wake up early, set your intentions for a 5-star day, and no days off. And watch what you transform into.
That makes sense. I think a lot of people would ask, like, hey, is this just like a Monday through Friday thing, or just like the work days? But I mean, it's funny because people say, I say it too from time to time, I'm better about it now, but we say things like in my personal life or my work life. And it's like, what the heck are we talking about? We're just living one life here, right? Unless you're a character in that show Severance, you're living 2 lives. But most of us are just living this one life. So I think it's really important that you have that in there of no days off. It's fascinating to me because I can feel resistance come up within me, and I know that would come up within others as well. Like, just hearing no days off. So I think that's an opportunity for you to potentially unpack that a little bit more, because for me, like, I remember when I was doing triathlons or just like trying to build a steady gym routine, I would go to the gym every single day. Just like you talked about, you're writing your book. I've written 6 books, and it's the same way writing a book or going to the gym. If you haven't been exercising, just show up. If you show up to write, and you're done in a minute just staring at your screen, who cares? You did it. Same thing with the gym. If you show up and then you're there for a minute and then you leave, just stick with that consistency. So I'm curious, how does that play into effect in terms of number 3, no days off?
Yeah, it's everything. It's the heart and soul, the consistency. Like, so in the book, I write about this, this thought exercise. So that if you, and then I'm not sure if you may have heard this before, but if you double the, like, let me ask you, if you double the penny every day for 30 days, how much would you have on the 30th day? Have you heard that? Have you done this before?
I think I've heard, but I don't remember the answer, and I'm not good at math, so I'm like, wait, what?
For 30 days, so it's a penny. So you start off with 1 penny, then you go to 2 pennies, then 4, then 8, then 16. So if you just doubled that penny consistently for 30 straight days, how much would you have on the 30th day? Would you say it would be somewhere around $1,000?
I don't think $10,000. What's the answer?
$100?
Yeah, maybe 100.
$5,368,709.
In 30 days, if you double
30 days.
penny?
If you do it consistently for 30 days, by the 30th day, you'll have $5 million. And all you did was this really small, simple act of doubling a penny, something so minuscule, something so insignificant that it can't make that big of a difference, but you did it consistently and you showed up every day. $5 million. Now get this, what if you just skipped a few days? You did it every other day. So instead of doing it every single day, you did it every other day. How much would you have on the 30th day? So $5 million for 30-day consistency. You slack off, do half the time. How much do you think you'd have?
Maybe half.
$2.5 million. That's the most popular answer. You'd have $327.
Wow.
So the difference between consistency is everything. It's non-negotiable. And the people who push back are the ones that get average results in life.
Right.
The people who fucking get after it every day. And when I say get after it, I don't mean you have to like go to work and be a slave to your business every day. You don't need to be in there Saturday, Sunday. When I say no days off, it's no days off showing up for yourself. So every day you have to get up early before your whirlwind and spend an hour by yourself, meditating, praying, being intentional, setting your intentions for the day, exercising. That is a no days off. If you slack off from building yourself every day, then you get average. You get 300, and those are the people that are pissed because they get $327 results in life. If you want to do extraordinary things, it requires extraordinary amount of sacrifice, and that sacrifice is your morning with yourself. It's no days off. There is no exceptions.
Yeah, I think the penny counting really drills that home, and that's such a good example there. I'm just coming off a 3-day training, actually down where you live in San Diego. I was in Carlsbad actually, and we would start at 10 a.m. every day, and we'd be done around 8. And sometimes like we were in little groups, and the group would want to get together like before we started, like say 8 a.m. or something. I'm like, nope. I gotta do my thing, because for me, I don't wake up at 4 a.m., 5 a.m., anything like that. Usually I'm up around 6:30 or so. That's my time. But yeah, that's the point. I think it's really crucial to get this in. And your point is well taken as well, that we're not talking about like business here. We're talking about prioritizing your mental, emotional, spiritual health.
You have to fill your cup first before you deal with the world. Yeah. And so that part is no days off. Like I just got back from Hawaii. We spent 10 beautiful days in Hawaii, and you would think I'm on vacation. It's beautiful. We're in paradise. I should take my foot off the gas. I should sleep in, and this is everyone. Jarvis, sleep in, you enjoy Hawaii. I'm gonna enjoy Hawaii. But you better believe I'm gonna be up at 5 a.m, and I'm gonna go down to the beach. I'm gonna go for a run on the beach. I'm gonna watch the sunrise. I'm gonna sit and pray and meditate and journal on the beach. And then by the time I'm finished with my practice, I go and I picked up some coffee on the way back to the hotel room. And by the time I get back to the hotel, it's like 6:30 in the morning, 7 in the morning. And I walk in and my wife and my kids are just waking up. And I walk in with such a vibration. I'm just gleaming. I hand my wife the latte, which is her favorite thing on earth, and she's grabbing a latte. She's like, "Thank you, babe. I love Starbucks." And then I'm grabbing the kids and I'm tossing them in the air, and I'm like, "Kids, we got the most fun day in the world planned for us, and we're gonna go do this. We're gonna go see turtles." And I just walk in with such an energy because I had time for me first, to set my intentions, to raise my vibration. And if I just wake up right into, my daughter loves to jump on me, and it's great, and I love her to death. But when I wake up and she's jumping on me, and my first instinct is to hit her with a pillow, right? Now I can start our vacation day off like that, or I can start it off with me busting in the door like super dad. And I got the day all planned out for us, and the day turns into the most magical day, right? Even on vacation, I have to wake up first and to start with me before I turn into super dad to serve them. This is no days off, even in Hawaii, even on vacation, even on Saturday, even on Sunday. You have to have a power hour for you so you can then go save the world.
Love it. Love it. I love the conviction, brother. It's so awesome. So as we close it out here, talk with us about the app. You mentioned that what's your background as a developer.
Yeah.
That makes sense. But talk with us about the app that you're creating.
Yeah, so it's called Win the Day. And it basically takes the framework that I shared of coming up with your 5-star day, and then having a way to score your day. So by the end of the day, you see what your score is. You had a 4-star day, you had a 5-star day, and it helps reinforce those behaviors so that you get celebrated, and you get a sense of winning. And then there's a scoreboard, and you're like on a scoreboard with other people. Kind of adds like community element to it, and a little competition. And so every day you're fueled and motivated to have a 5-star day. And so it just creates the way it kind of gamifies your life, so you feel like you're winning your life in the palm of your hand. So it's going to be called Win the Day. And it's really kind of fuels off the framework from the book. So in the book, I kind of share that the winning formula, like setting this 5-star life. And so the app is then like how you actually implement it on a daily basis.
Yeah, it's amazing. That's awesome. It's so excited for your book launch with the app, all the things. So I'm not sure if we got this, so I want to make sure we get it now. What's the best way for people to check out your daily morning intention setting?
Yeah, so if they go to my Instagram, the.morninghero, and so I post on Instagram just about every day. That's the best way to stay up to date. On every day I'm posting some sort of lesson or wisdom or just getting people fired up. And I'm kind of like demonstrating the lifestyle, because I post a lot on what's going on in my world. And so I'd say that's the best way for them to reach out and get in touch with me, and I can share with them what all the information about the program.
Okay, cool. So it's in the bio of your profile where they can join.
Yes. So there'll be a link. And the reason I don't, because we're in the process of changing the web address, and so I'd rather that people just go to my Instagram, because in there I'll have the up-to-date link where they can go to see about the transformation program.
Sweet. Well, guys, check the show notes. All the links are there. You can just click it there. Jarvis, thank you so much for making the time. Great to get to know you better and understand your philosophy and your strategy to really connecting with your mental, emotional, and spiritual self. So appreciate you sharing. I'm sure we'll talk again soon.
Thank you, Sam. This was awesome.
Appreciate it. Hey, thank you so much for listening to the end of this podcast. I hope you guys much out of it as I did. If you want to go deeper with me, the best way to do so is to join our free breath club. It's absolutely free. So come join us in breath club. Let's breathe together every single Wednesday. You can find the link to the breath club in the show notes. If you want to go deeper with me, you can hire me as a speaker, as a coach, all of the things. I have a few events and retreats coming up, so make sure that you're on my email list or reach out to me directly if you want to hear about those live in-person events. Other than that, I'll see you on the next episode of the Soul Seeker podcast. Thank you so much for listening to the very end. I hope you dug this podcast just as much as I enjoyed it. If you got anything at all, please, if you could just do me a favor and leave a 5-star review wherever you listen to this podcast, it helps the show grow. So thank you for considering to leave a review. If you want to go deeper with Soltara or Elan, you can find the links to connect with them in the show notes. And if you want to work with me, the best way to work with me, the easiest way to work with me is the free way, and that's by joining the Breath Club. The link to the Breath Club is in the show notes. And also know that I'm available for one-on-one support, that is coaching and guidance, as well as keynotes and breathwork journeys for conferences and events. Thank you so much, and I will see you on the next episode of The Soul Seeker.